Torrin Grönbeck and Nick Klein continue Thor's search for his sister, but the deadly soul-infused magic of Bor's mountain has disastrous effects on the hero's mission. Torrin Grönbeck delivers another fantastic issue that dives further into Thor's family history with the Ten Realms and, most importantly, Thanos. We learn a little bit more about Bor's work in Niffelheim and his pretty terrifying work with the souls of the dead, which no doubt ties into the creation of the Black Infinity Stone, being that we have seen the Black Infinity Stone raising the dead in Thor's vision of the dark future, and Thor ends up fighting a lot of the undead whose souls were taken this issue, so there's definitely a connection there, and I like how Torrin presents that sort of connection that we have to make sort of ourselves and sort of start piecing together all these great pieces of information. I really love that it's dealing with a section of Thor's family tree that is seldom dealt with, and Torrin mirrors Donny Cates' dark fantasy writing tone really well, expanding on Cates' Black Winter storyline to great effect. The story also keeps building in really surprising ways, with a great cliffhanger that sees Doctor Doom getting involved in the story and adding him into the story that already involves so much of Thor's family history and Thanos and new Infinity Stones has me more excited than ever before. Nick Klein again features some really brilliantly detailed artwork filled with some really awesome fantasy action and interesting little character moments. His attention to detail is just awesome, and the way he lovingly crafts action sequences, especially his double page spreads, is a real treat for the reader. Thor issue 30 expanded on Thor's vision of a dark future from Black Winter in some really interesting ways, tying it together with some classic Odinson family drama, along with an awesome and surprising third act character twist that has me even more excited for the next issue. I am going to give this issue a 9 out of 10. Thor issue 30 finds Thor and Runa witnessing a vision of Bor, who is approached by a Valkyrie, told that while they would do much for him with their swords and blood, they will not do this. Thor wants to stop it, but Runa tells him to watch as Bor demands that his surf burn something, but the man thinks that it's still unstable and can't be sure it will work. Bor knows that it will, since why else would the stranger be there, since he's not of their time and he wouldn't be there now if it didn't work. He demands the man burn it as he returns to the battle outside the volcano, telling his Valkyrie to pick up her sword and find absolution on the battlefield. Bor goes and confronts Thanos, who has come back in time to find the old king. Bor isn't too concerned with the mere mortal, meeting him in battle. Thor asks Runa where she was in the battle, learning that she was defending the Western Front and was told the king had entered the battle, fighting a stranger who killed any and all who got in his way, no matter which side they fought on. Suddenly the mountain explodes as Bor tells his Valkyrie to let the fire from it cleanse all, as the ashes of men are but shadows of life. Thor thinks that this vision they are seeing is a time echo, but Runa warns him not to trust everything they see in Niffelheim. Thor asks what happened to Thanos, but Runa explains that the volcano explosion didn't reach everyone, especially those shielded by the mountain, so many may have lived. Thor definitely knows that Thanos lived, as elsewhere, Corvus and Lusa enter the Red Door and into the innards of the volcano. Lusa tries to burn Corvus with her powers, exclaiming that she would rather die than help the villain since he lied to her. Corvus states that everyone lies, including her mothers, her fathers, and even the world around her, but the young girl lies to herself the most to make life bearable and make the world make sense. Corvus proclaims that she does all of this in an attempt to defy the indifference of the universe, but in the end, it's all just still lies. Corvus sets the girl down on a dais and prepares to take more of her blood. Thor meanwhile learns from Runa that the people used to think that Valkyries decided who lived and died on the battlefield, and Bor was very suspicious of that, not liking that the Valkyries might have loyalties beyond him. Runa thinks that God Kings all seem to have a hard time accepting that there are things outside of their control. Thor believes that that was directed at him, but Runa assures him that he is nothing like Bor, or at least she hopes. Thor tries to touch the strange orange fish that are swimming around them, telling Runa that he can hear them singing. Runa knows that they are singing and they are running running from something, and Thor soon catches the stench of Draugr. Suddenly an army of the undead attack, and Thor and Runa fight their way through it, aiming for the heads of the zombies to take them down quickly and for good. More and more zombies appear out of the black depths around the heroes as they make it to the Red Gate. Thor witnesses a Draugr feed on one of the fish, demanding to know what they are. Runa reveals that they are memories, and the Draugr are like vultures, taking any small piece of a person's soul they can get. Runa wishes to burn all of the Draugr bodies, but knows that it will be fruitless as they are already in hell. Thor demands to know why the souls weren't brought to the afterlife, so Runa says that Bor's sorceress theorized how, like the decaying body can fertilize some land, the soul could fertilize something else and be reused and pulled apart and remade. Runa says that it takes much power to break down a soul, and luckily Bor still had the shell of a Galactus seed, which he broke down and used as tinder, burning it deep within the flames of the mountain, a reckless action on his part. Thor and Runa soon come across the mirror that Corvus used, and while Thor sees himself, Runa sees her and her undead sisters. Thor soon sees something, which Runa knows makes his blood freeze, but Thor presses on, calling for his sister. Corvus meanwhile cannot get into the big black door in front of him, despite using Lursa's blood, and even his glaive cannot make a dent, making him incredibly angry. Lursa suddenly awakens and the mountain explodes again as Thor confronts Corvus, who threatens to kill the girl if Thor comes any closer. Thor knows that nothing is now beneath Corvus since he is threatening to hurt an innocent child, as Runa warns Thor of more incoming Draugr from behind them. Thor unleashes some Thunderwolves on the villain, allowing him to save Lursa from his grip. Runa asks how Thor summoned the Thunderwolves, but Thor does not know. Runa thinks that it's the magic of the volcano infecting them both, and they need to get out of there before it's too late. Thor passes Lursa to Runa so he can fight with Corvus, but Runa sets the girl down so she can deal with the incoming Draugr. As her brother fights Corvus, Lursa finds the villain's glaive, which was knocked from his hand, remembering that it was important to her future as Thor beats Corvus down. But Corvus knows the hero won't kill him since he's a coward. Thor believes that there are more fates worse than death, however Corvus doesn't believe that, as the wolves viciously maw him to death despite Thor demanding they stop. It's too late and Corvus is killed, and his spirit violently leaves his body. Runa tells Thor that they must leave now, but Thor tells her to leave with Lursa since he needs to know what is behind the black doorway. Lursa tells him that Bor's blood in the shadow of the dais is the trick to opening, and Corvus didn't know that, so Thor cuts his hand, ordering Runa to leave with his sister. Thor spills the blood into the shadow of the dais and the door opens despite Odin's pleas to make it stop and for them to leave. Thor immediately apologizes to his father for what he sees as the magical beetle finally makes its way back to Doctor Doom, the beetle's master, and tells the villain that Bor's gate has finally been opened.